A name that we have not heard on this channel in quite a long period of time is Mykolenko, and he is a ghost hunter from Ukraine. In case you have no idea what a ghost hunter is, it is pretty self-explanatory. They are hired for huge price sums to hunt down and sometimes exterminate spirits that haunt the homes of people, and the video that I am about to show you was from a job Mykolenko had been hired to carry out. Usually, he would highball for extremely unfair prices, but due to the family he was assisting in this video being fairly poor and knowing a friend of his, he carried out the task for a highly slashed price. Here are some of the worst things that he caught. For some inexplicable reason, the bedsheets slowly creeped further and further away from their default position, and as if this was not creepy enough, it was followed up by loud footsteps in the hallway. Mykolenko carried out all of his ghost hunts solo, due to him not wanting to split the revenue with others, so this could not have been the sounds of a crewmate. After hearing these footsteps, Mykolenko took it upon himself to go towards the noise, so that he could gather more intel on the ghost that he was trying to counter, and then this happened. This act was clearly an attempt from the spirit to show Mykolenko that it was not fearful of him, because it sprinted right next to him.
Здесь. Вот здесь, неподалеку.
After the sprinting, Mykolenko chose to reside in the bedroom of the house for a few moments to regain his bravery. Whilst he was in this room, a ghostly presence could still be sensed by him, and the footsteps refused to stop. Something was up with this house, and all we can do is hope that Mykolenko was good enough to put it to an end. There is nothing that a human loves more than their family, and a core part of this for most of people is their dog. Dogs have been man's best friend since we first started hunting, and as a reward, we keep them as pets nowadays. We know that these pets have different eye patterns to us humans, which allows them to detect light frequencies that we cannot see. It is because of this that people tend to theorize that dogs can see poltergeists. After the video that you are about to know, we will know one theory for certain though. Dogs can definitely get haunted.
Where's your boy? What's up? Whoa! Whoa.
It was evident that the ghost was trying to attack the poor dog here with some form of speaker off the shelf. This freaked out the owner of the house to a degree that he let the dog stay in his bed with him that night, and he was usually strongly against that idea due to dirty sheets. Have you ever heard of the term Netflix and chill? Well, this was what was going on with the host of the YouTube channel Llama Paranormal, except his Netflix and chill was not insinuating the kind of chill that lets you relax. His session delivered real chills to him. The time was 11 p.m. in the evening, and this man had been binging a Netflix show before bed. He was roughly 4 episodes deep into the session, and he vowed that this would be his last one. But after what happened, he was about to stay awake for a lot longer anyways.
Right, keep hearing noises. Don't know if you can hear it, but absolutely shit, this is every single night nearly now. Just weird things, but I only catch minor stuff. What the fuck, man? Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Oh, see what I mean? See what I mean? Oh my god, what the fuck? Oh my fucking god, mate.
All around the house, all kinds of paranormal events were happening, from flying minion plushies to strange sounds echoing. Any man would have quivered in the boots of this one. After the event, he really struggled to get some sleep and claimed to constantly have the feeling that he was being watched. It is theorized that he never explained the situation to the people around him in fear that they would call him crazy, but with this evidential piece of footage, it is likely that he may go through with it. The following video was captured by a man called Manuel, but he was not the only man present on scene. Him and his friend both operated as security guards at their local school and made sure nothing happened during the night. Now you are likely wondering what sort of school has nighttime security, aren't you? Well, several items had gone missing from this school over the past month, and the council finally agreed to give them a helping hand. The time was 2 a.m., which is extremely late, and Manuel and his colleague were chilling as they usually did when the upcoming clip happened.
Che, boludo, ¿escuchaste eso? ¿Lo Shh, ¿escuchaste eso, boludo?
¿Qué?
Allá en el aula hay como un ruido, boludo. Pero vamos, porque Pai dijo que firmemos, boludo. Si no vamos después, Pai, si Servino nos va a sacar el cuero, boludo. Vamos a ver qué onda, un toque. Vamos, un toque, boludo, dale.
¿Qué onda, boludo? ¿Hace un frío acá afuera?
Sí, boludo, hace un refrío. Pero acá parece que hace más frío, porque dice cuando hace frío que es por algo, digamos.
¿Dónde escuchas, boludo? Acá hay ruido en toda la escuela.
Pero sí, boludo, ¿no escuchaste? ¿Ves escuchar? ¿Escuchás, boludo? ¿No escuchás?
No escucho nada, boludo. A ver. Está cerrado. Pensé que... hay como una cortina ahí.
Sí.
¿Dónde escuchaste, boludo?
Sí, boludo, para mí que por allá, o ahí, no sé. Mira, ve.
¿Dónde, boludo?
Por acá era. No, boludo, ¿viste eso? Boludo. Aguantá, boludo, aguantá.
Out of the blue, a huge surge in paranormal activity happened, and it sent Manuel and his colleague into absolute shambles. They strolled around the facility attempting to gather as much evidence of the event as humanly possible, and it is safe to say they got enough. What made this event even more spooky was the fact that Manuel experienced several other paranormal events afterwards, which meant the ghost must have attached to him, and we can only hope that he is able to get rid of the creature. It is rare that a spirit haunts the same exact person for 2 years, but the video that you are about to witness is a 1 in a million. The lady filming the video had been suffering from paranormal activity for 2 whole years, but rather than uploading every event as they happened, she decided to post them all at once in the form of a TikTok compilation. Today you are going to see one of the clips, but in order to see more, you are going to have to subscribe. This is because she will be featuring on several other haunter videos with the rest of her clips. Anyways, have a watch.
Hey, Ghost Goon. Is it easier if you just talk to me without the radio? Oops. Ghost Goon, are you here right now?
The woman somehow managed to communicate with the spirit, except some of the words that it muttered seemed to be inaudible. It perfectly addressed her by her name, Sarah, and even questioned what she wanted, which was very confrontational and spooky. To top it all off, it pushed a pencil off of the counter at the end, which was why you heard a soft clatter, as if something had collided with the ground. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss the rest of this story. This next piece of paranormal activity was uploaded to TikTok on April the 30th of 2021 by a publisher called Ghost Rocky 666. It took place in the kitchen of a Hispanic man who had only ever served God well in his life. He never missed prayers, but of course he was not perfect, so he had some sins under his belt. However, he always made sure to apologize and repent. My point is that he was the person you would least expect to be a victim of something like this. But hey, here we are.
Donc voilà, je refais une vidéo parce que il se passe encore des phénomènes, comme vous pouvez le voir. Il y a le tiroir qui s'est ouvert tout seul. Vous pouvez vous constater, je suis tout seul. Il y a juste le chien qui est effrayé en dessous de la table. Sinon, je suis absolument tout seul. Donc, est-ce que vous pouvez vous manifester, s'il vous plaît? Ok. Est-ce que vous pouvez me dire ce que... Oh, je calme. Je ne vous veux aucun mal. Vache. Ok. Je me casse.
The cupboard opened, and you could instantly hear the man's talkative and energetic voice vanish into the abyss. This event was followed up by an entire sequence of paranormal activity so much that the man needed to contact his local church for some help. The last update that we received stated that he was okay, but the job of eradicating the poltergeist had not quite been accomplished. Apparitions are most probably the most terrifying form of ghostly activities on the planet. Being haunted by these things is a scary enough experience, but coming face to face with a demon incites terror that nobody watching this video will have ever felt. If you have felt it, let me know in the comments, by the way. Anyway, the video that you are about to watch took place in a nice and wholesome setting where the boyfriend of the girl on screen decided to capture their gathering on camera. Little did he know that he was going to capture more than just the family.
Aí, fim da festa aí, pessoal. Ó, comprei a câmera nova. Vamos colocar um vídeo no YouTube aí, ó.
Ai, que vergonha, não faz isso.
A Josi capotada já, com sono. Aí, Thiago, a câmera que eu comprei nova aí.
Bebeu demais.
Vermelhinha e tal. Vocês nem esperaram pra festa aí, né, mano? Meu Deus do céu, que porra é essa, velho? Mano, eu vi alguma coisa aqui, Thiago. Tem alguma coisa que passou aqui, velho.
Ih, velho.
Tô falando sério, cara. Tô falando sério. Vem aqui comigo, cara.
Tem nada aqui não.
Eu vi uma coisa assim, cara.
Tá louco, mano?
Maluco. Eu vou voltar a câmera. E você vai ver, velho.
The girl could have sworn that it was her grandfather who passed away, but unfortunately, the social media community would not believe her. Based on the event already being absurd, as anything, I think I will give her the benefit of the doubt and assume it was just her deceased grandfather checking in on her. It was either that or a completely irrelevant demon, which would be far worse. Sticking to the topic of the last clip, this final video is going to feature an apparition, and I must say, it is one of the most horrifying ones that I have featured on the channel. It has that uncanny feel to it where it kind of looks like a human, but some certain features are slightly off, almost letting you know that it is hiding its true colors. The video was captured very late at night by Abdi, who simply wanted some sleep when he heard some banging. He went to check the door, and then this happened.
Hay un niño golpeando la puerta. Dios mío.
At first, Abdi believed that it could have genuinely been a woman or a girl who needed help. So being the good Samaritan he was, he opened the door. However, once the creature vanished out of thin air, he knew that something was up, and you bet that once the recording ended, he began to pray. Jude was a janitor in a big hotel in the middle of the city. He had been at the job for a few weeks now, but strange things just kept happening in the hotel. However, there was a law related to the hotel that filled most of the townspeople with fear. Every year, it was a norm for one guest to die after sleeping in the hotel. From year to year, over and over again. It never seemed to stop, The hotel management didn't know what to do about it. Everyone was sure it was something supernatural. There were stories about an old woman who had been forced out of the hotel because she had secretly lodged with a cat against the hotel's policy. She had cursed the hotel before she left, and since then her curse seemed to work. When Jude applied for the job, he was a bit scared, but brushed off the fear given that he needed the money and the curse only seemed to follow visitors to the hotel, not staff. However, he changed his mind one faithful day when this happened.
Ya tampoco hay nadie. No hay nadie allá. Dios mío. Bueno, voy para adentro. La sangre de Cristo me cura. Hola, hola. Hola. Hola, hola, ¿estás acá? ¿Dónde estás? Se prenden las luces. ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? ¿Estás jugando con la llave? ¿Ah? Necesito otra prueba. Necesito otra prueba. ¡Ay, marica!
He had heard some noise in the ladies' bathroom and decided to check what was going on. He was being a bit careful since he didn't want to scare any of the women that might be in there. He also checked the IT system that monitored if the stalls were full and which ones were available, but it showed nothing. But then he went in and heard someone flush the toilet and then bang the door so vigorously that it almost fell off its hinges. He had seen a reflection in the mirror, but he wasn't sure what it was, and for some reason, it didn't reflect in his video. Jude ran out of the bathroom scared to his wits that day. The very next morning, he walked in with a letter of resignation and never came back. Cody had just finished college and decided to move out of his parents' house. In fact, he decided to move to a whole new city instead. He had chosen to move to Albuquerque, Texas. The plan was to live there while he looked for an online job. It was a cheap city to live in and he didn't need to spend so much while waiting to land his dream job. He was a developer and had dreamt of working with Google. Cody had to pick one of the cheapest places he could find in the area. An old apartment that cost a few $100s per month in rent had popped up and he paid for the place. It was moderately furnished. All he had to do was get a proper desk and set up a proper workplace. However, something was strange about the house. There was an eerie feel to the space. Cody wasn't sure what it was, but somehow it just gave him the creeps. Joey decided he'd stick around for a few months and just move out when he found a better place, but in the meantime, he needed to get to work. A few weeks passed, and Cody started getting comfortable with the apartment. It wasn't so bad after all, or so he thought, until one fateful day when he was making a selfie video to send to his friends, the strangest thing happened.
You still there? Still here? Still here? Are you still here? You still here? You're still here. Still here. Still here. Still here. Can you go? Leave? Leave, go. Disappear.
He saw a chair in the dining area literally defy the laws of physics and move on its own. He moved close to it to find out what was going wrong. He picked up the chair and was about to walk away when his phone switched off on its own, and then the chair fell again. Cody had to go look for a motel to sleep in that night. The next morning he came in, packed most of his stuff, and went back to stay with his parents. Brahimi was a 20-year-old tuk-tuk driver who lived in a small Indian town, Datia. He had always wanted to move to the big city and make a name for himself, but he just wasn't given that opportunity. He had dropped out of primary school and never really had any more education after that. Brahimi focused on trying to make enough money to move to Mumbai while driving his tuk-tuk. He wakes up early in the morning and comes back really late every night just to make sure he saves up enough. He even went as far as pasting his phone number all over the city to get people to call him for pickups and personal deliveries. One day, he gets a call to come to an address just on the outskirts of the city. When he got to the house, he was somewhat scared. He thought of turning back, but he knew the money he was going to make was worth it. It was his biggest offer in a long while. He knocked on the gate, but it was already open, so he just walked in. He stood around for a while, and then he started hearing a noise from what seemed like a kitchen. He intuitively walked towards the noise and saw the wildest thing he had ever seen in his life, a full-blown poltergeist in action.
Assalamu alaikum, margaru data su goreha, parana urzamu karada al data su goreha. Ya Allah khair do goreha, e won lu khirarta wal ya Allah khair. قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. يا الله خير خدایا یا الله خیر دو ګوره مرګرو ښه یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر پرانا ورځ د زموږ کرالی ښه مونږ دا کور سو پیرې د کو سو پیرې او دا علی یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر خدایا خیر.
The spirit in the kitchen was just too violent. Brahimi somehow managed to video the whole incident and then ran off afterward. The number that called before called back, but Brahimi was too scared to speak, so he got into his tuk-tuk and never turned back. The experiences tainted him for a long time. In fact, he changed his line and threw the old one away. It was almost 6 months before Brahimi went back to riding his tuk-tuk again. Dylan's favorite holiday was Halloween. He had always loved it as a kid. Maybe it was because of how much he loved candy, or that orange was his favorite color, or the fact that he got to dress up as whoever he wanted. He was a grown man now, 32 years, with 3 kids, but still he loved Halloween a lot. However, this year's Halloween was a little different for him because he had one of the craziest experiences with the supernatural. Here, take a look.
Gracias.
His 3-year-old Brian was jerked by an unseen force right out of nowhere. The kid was surprised and never really recovered from it. This event reminds Dylan of Brian's baptism, 8 days after he was born. The priest had told Dylan that Brian was born to experience the supernatural. Dylan didn't see it as much at first until now. After this incident, he took little Brian back to the priest, who gave them a small blessed crucifix for Brian's protection. Marco had been living in his 2-room apartment for about a year now, and nothing out of the ordinary had ever happened before. It was a regular old apartment in a regular city suburb. He loved the city. It was quiet, it had great places to visit, and he also had great friends. One of those friends was Louis. They had gone to the same high school together and lived not very far from each other. Marco and Louis were best buds, but there was one thing Marco didn't exactly like about Louis. Louis was always up to some strange thing. He always talked about rituals that would make you attractive to women, or stuff he did to make sure he never got sick. It was not Marco's thing, but he didn't mind much anyways. One day, Louis asked to use Marco's space for a meeting with some friends, and since Marco was out of town on official duty for a few days, he was okay with it. Unfortunately for Marco, it was after this so-called meetup that Lewis had in Marco's house that things changed. Marco's house became a hub for supernatural activity. It got so bad that he had to get an EMF meter.
De novo não, velho. De novo não. Sempre esse telefone tocando, mano. Entre esse horário, velho. Alô? Quem é? Quem tá falando? E galera, tipo, é sempre esse horário. É como se alguém estivesse do outro lado da linha, respirando de um jeito muito estranho, sabe? E não fala nada, mano. Eles nunca falam nada. Ó, vou mostrar pra vocês. Olha isso. É sempre esse horário. Entre 2h30 e 3 horas da manhã. Eu escuto como se fosse, tipo, alguns passos nesse taco. Tipo assim, sabe? De vez em quando a porta bate. Mano, eu não sei o que fazer, velho. Puta, eita, uma aranha ali. Caramba. Que isso, gente? Que porra é essa, velho? O que tá acontecendo, mano? Vocês viram, a TV ligou sozinha, velho. Tô vendo uns barulhos muito estranhos ali fora, velho. E a TV tá ligando sozinha, mano. Eu não sei o que fazer, mano. Que isso, mano? Que isso, velho? Que porra é essa, mano? Mano, vocês, velho. Que isso, gente? O que tá acontecendo? Isso, velho.
His house always had something going on. It was either random calls, or the lights flickering, or some weird noises coming from outside. Finally, after a few weeks, Marco confronted Louis about this, and he confessed. Louis had from fellow supernatural lovers over, from ghost hunters to exorcists and everything in between. They had stayed at Marco's house. Louis promised to help him get rid of whatever spirit that was doing all the crazy stuff. The next day, Louis came with a priest friend of his and did a thorough exorcism of all kinds of spirits and principalities, and afterwards, Marco had his house back to normal again. Max and his friends were hanging out in his house when one of them, Sarah, caught this on camera. Right there over his shoulder, we could see a spirit move over him and seem to take something. Sarah thought it was strange and showed the video to Max and the other guys. They talked about it and just let it slide. They thought maybe it was a faulty camera, the wind blowing the curtain over as the video wasn't very clear. Tragedy struck the next day when Max passed out the very next day and was rushed to the hospital for treatment. Everyone was a bit scared because Max had never been sick all his life. He was probably the healthiest among them all. Mukhtar had always heard about jinns growing up, spirit beings that took on the form of humans but were also free-willed to do what they wanted. However, he had never had an experience with one until one fateful night where he was playing an Islamic prayer in his shops late at night. His security camera caught this.
خلاص ولا حاجة. طيب حالك. حوامك.
من مات عليك؟
ها؟
من مات عليك؟
ولا واحد. حوامك.
أشيل غلط.
ما عاد اشتغل، ما عاد منزوب هاي. يا والله ما. طيب. طيب.
A lady walked into the store and asked why he was playing the prayers so loudly and if he could tone it down. It seems normal to Mukhtar because he knew this lady, or so he thought. She owned the store 2 shops from his and had always greeted him warmly, but this time around she sounded stern and borderline angry at him for playing the prayers out loud. It was as she walked out that Mukhtar noticed something off her feet. They weren't human feet. They were like that of a wolf or wild dog. He looked away and pretended not to notice. In fact, he decided to close earlier that day and went home praying. He was 100% sure she was a jinn. He confirmed his theory the next day when he found her shop empty and ransacked. She had left the shop in a hurry, like she was running away. No one ever saw her after that. Jackson from the creepy corner has been suffering from paranormal activity for the past month. When the hauntings first came around, Jackson was frightened to be in his own home, but after a while, he managed to get used to it. Recently though, a record peak in paranormal activity happened in his house, and he has been starting to get really frustrated with whatever it thinks it has the right to mess with him. I know this is mental, but over the month of the constant ghostly experiences, Jackson failed to capture one on camera, and the video that you are about to see is the first time he managed to get something.
I haven't been back here for not too long. Can you make the light shut off? So you fuckers think that this is fucking fake? You fuckers think that this is fake? Okay.
This video was sent to his family group chat, who all called him an attention-seeking faker when he told them about what was going on. Strangely, the candle launched itself off from the table and onto the floor, and it was clear that no strings or affecting devices were attached. Jackson finally obtained his proof, and his family stopped considering him to be a psychopath. Now I am going to be very quick to introduce the next series of clips, because we have looked at the creator so many times that I have lost count. His name is Muko, and if you have watched another video from this channel, the name will likely ring a bell. Anyways, in the following clips, he was on one of his usual ghost hunts for a client who wanted their house cleansing, and he manages to encounter a heap of paranormal activity. Take a look at the first piece. In a mysterious manner, the wardrobe continued to open and close, whilst letting off some sort of windy noise. Muko stood there, trying his absolute hardest not to interfere with the spirit's fun in order to capture more evidence for his client. But eventually, it inevitably came to a halt. Most ghost hunters would have surrendered in this situation and turned back home to claim their money. However, despite already witnessing enough to get paid, Muko was deeply interested in this poltergeist and wanted to adventure some more, and did. He walked around the house for quite some time until he eventually came across a small, dirty room which appeared to have not been tended to in months. Muko chuckled to himself after seeing what state the place was in, knowing that even if the place was not haunted, the owners had a huge task in cleaning the house. Needn't they worry about this though, because the house was indeed haunted, and the next clip further proves this. In the room, some sort of stool began to move on its own accord, and Mikhailo was taken aback by this. Usually in the presence of a spirit you can feel it, the cold and the darkness, overruling all other conditions. However, he felt none of this, and this remains a mystery to date. Mikhailo went back home and was wire transferred his money, but it did not take long for his next job. Out of the blue, his business phone began to ring, and Mikhailo rushed to answer. You never know when the largest offer of your lifetime could spawn, so he never ignored business calls, and he was lucky he did not miss this one. A wealthy male by the name of Sebastian was willing to pay $5,000 to have his house cleansed of evil, and of course, Mikhailo accepted. This is what he found there.
Началось.
Similarly to the last house, a closet was rocking back and forth, which led Mikhailo to believe that both homes shared the same spirit type. This meant that in order to learn how to defeat one of them, he needed to learn how to defeat both. Make sure to subscribe, as Mikhailo's story will be continuing in my next video. In the year of 2010, Donna Ayres became one of the least deserving victims of a haunting ever. She was as innocent as women came and wanted nothing at all to do with evil, having religious texts and ornaments dotted all around her household. Despite this being what was supposed to be a barrier though, it did not stop her divorced husband's ghost from getting to her. You see, many years ago, Donna was in what she believed was an unhealthy marriage and decided to divorce Scott, the male in question. However, he passed away weeks before this clip was caught on tape, and theorists believe that it was very likely he was the cause.
If you're there, please can you move on to the light? I've never been through this before and I've never had any experiences like this. I've never been through this before and I beg in the Lord's name, please, just leave me be, please. It's getting quite frightening now. Have a cross coming down my bloody wall. Oh, I need help. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do it. It's not listening to me. Why would it listen to me? Oh.
The Holy Cross of Jesus Christ slowly eased its way down the wall, and when Donna chose to beckon for help, rather than sit in silence, it thudded onto the ground. If that was the act of her ex-husband, Scott, then maybe it was a great idea to get rid of him. No man who throws a cross to the ground is a man. Elf on the Shelf is a gimmick that has been going on for a very long time, and it is safe to say that the majority of people watching this video are aware of its purpose. I must say that young children should cover their ears though, because what is about to happen reveals stuff that you guys cannot know.
So this is Carol, our Christmas elf. Hello, Carol. Hey, tell Santa we've been really good, okay?
Now, as all of us older people are aware, it is actually the parents who move the elves, which means that they are not in fact supposed to have lives of their own. Because of this, the way its eyes moved in the first place should have been impossible, which leads me, and many other like-minded people, towards one simple conclusion. Some sort of spirit was using the elf as a vessel to gain a somewhat humanoid form again, and decided to give this poor woman a fright. Our world is riddenced with non-believers in the paranormal world, and people like the man in the next clip try day in, day out to prove the existence of these interesting entities. No matter how much these people try though, non-believers will always find a logical solution to it, whether it be fishing wire or a minor earthquake. The man in this video, however, did a pretty excellent job at convincing. Have a watch.
This video is for the people out there who think I'm making fake ghost videos. Here's my hands. I have no strings attached to anything. That right there is a vent to my air conditioner unit for the air to come out. There's nothing attached to that. I don't know why some dude thought I was using that for a hoax. I'm in here. I'm hearing strange noises from my living room. Let's check out what we can conjure up. Let's go on the other side of the phone. Here's my hand. Here we go. I'm not going to stop talking so no one thinks I stopped editing, okay? Now, let's see what I can conjure up. If there's any spirits here, feel free to show yourself. Let yourself be known. Apparently I'm haunted because I bought a fucking doll from an estate sale. Is there anything here? Hello? Anybody want to speak? Is anyone here? Hello? Yeah, you saw that fucking shit, didn't you? Hello? You saw that fucking shit? Yeah, explain that fucking shit. Hello? Explain that fucking shit. Fuck that, I'm out of here.
Somehow, despite there being absolutely no cuts and no wire of any sort connected to the pictures, both of them collapsed out of nowhere, almost undeniably proving that poltergeists roam the earth. Of course, as I said though, there will always be a select few people who even choose to deny proof this incredibly surreal, and if you are one of those, then feel free to comment why this was fake. I am keen to hear your reasoning, and am open to being proved wrong. I do not, however, believe that anyone will convince me otherwise that a ghost did this. The night shift. By far one of, if not the most dreaded words for any working person. Working this late has many negative effects, such as ruining your sleep schedule, leaving you a mess the next day, and taking all enjoyment out of the job, which is why so many people hate it. However, after watching the clip that I am about to put on screen, all of these night shift haters will count themselves lucky that they have not been forced to encounter what this poor employee did. His name was Baz, and he worked in a storage faculty. At night, he was left alone in one of the buildings to cater for late dispatches, which did not come much. Little did he know that something else was on shift with him.
Yo por esto les digo que a mí no me gusta quedarme en la oficina solo. La neta, qué mala onda, güey, que se fueron, güey. Les pedí que me esperaran. A mí ya me habían pasado estas cosas. La neta, no se vale.
En una oficina de México se den cosas paranormales constantemente. Uno de los empleados capta en video los impactantes eventos que ahí ocurren. Vamos a verlos.
Güey, yo por esto les digo que a mí no me gusta quedarme en la oficina solo. La neta, qué mala onda, güey, que se fueron, güey. Les pedí que me esperaran. A mí ya me habían pasado estas cosas. La neta, no se vale. Güey. Ahí va. ¡Ey! Ay, güey. ¡Ey! ¿Quién anda ahí? Le voy a marcar a la policía, ¿eh? Esto es propiedad privada. ¡Ay, güey! ¡Ey! ¡Ey! ¡Tú, ven acá! Yo ya voy a pagar todo y yo ya me voy. La neta no es justo, güey. Ustedes me vuelven a hacer esto y yo les renuncio, güey. Ya vámonos a dormir. Yo no estoy para estos jugueteos. Hasta el vecino tiene que venir. Bueno. ¡Ay, güey! No. Güey, vamos ya.
All sorts of unexplainable, outrageously spooky stuff happened within a small time span, leading Baz to chase around this spirit for a long period of time. Now you probably thought that the paranormal activity put enough on the poor man's plate, but his employer did not think in the same way. Baz was sacked for not finishing his work on schedule, and no sympathy was given to him. Harsh, I know. In the following video, the time was 4 a.m. and Sakina was fast asleep. She was a very deep sleeper, and usually her soulmate would have to shake her a lot in order to get her out of bed. This night was strange and different though. At 4, Sakina started to hear her dog howling from downstairs, accompanied by some cold sort of feeling that she is still unable to describe. Due to her boyfriend being out of town, she was forced to go downstairs and investigate, but what she found was definitely unexpected.
Eran las 4 de la mañana y mi perrita no paraba de ladrar cuando salí. Capté esto.
Her dog was barking at seemingly nothing, but upon closer inspection, a shadow figure could be seen in the clip, indicating a ghostly presence. Being the innocent girl she was, Sakina brushed this off as being quote-unquote weird lighting and went back inside, but things only became worse from here.
Hola, gente. Otra vez el ruido ese. Poco estoy haciéndome compañía hoy, pero ya estoy sola. Todavía se escucha un ruido de abajo. Y la verdad que no sé. Ay, la con olor hay algo ahí. Sora. Sora, subí. Ay, no, Dios santo. Nera.
At first, Shiva thought the hands were a prank from her boyfriend, but as she approached them, they seemingly no-clipped through the stairs. This was pure proof that she was dealing with a spirit and not a bored boyfriend. The following video took place on March 12th of 2014 and featured a young man in his apartment. He had taken residence in this apartment 2 years ago and planned on calling it home throughout his entire time at university. However, little did he know that one event would happen that would put him off the place forever and frighten him from ever visiting again. After the metal box fell, the activity stopped, and the man was left sitting there in utter confusion. He had no idea what on earth just happened, and would not be able to explain it if you paid him to do so. This event was so concerning to him, though, that he contacted the owner of the apartments and let him know that he would no longer be paying rent, and the place would be vacated within a week. He then proceeded to take residence at his grandma's. Children are the most innocent forms of human on the planet, and it really needs to stay this way. When they are exposed to frightening things such as gore or the paranormal world, it can have a very concerning effect on them, and this happened to the child in the next clip. His name was Thomas, and both his parents and daycare workers referred to him as a little angel. He never did anything wrong and was the perfect child, but little did any of them know what he was about to go through. It was 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and Thomas was messing around with his new toys. He had no idea that he was the one who was about to be messed with. Somehow the bowl slid itself across the table without any human interaction, and it was very clear that no strings or affecting items were in contact with it. Fortunately, the bowl managed to knock something over, otherwise the parents would have never noticed and would not have checked the cameras for this footage. Now, after releasing this video, it surprisingly received a lot of hate, with the audience claiming that it did not look real in the slightest. The mother of Thomas, on the other hand, was not going to take these claims lightly, so released another video featuring her son in the same location. This time around, a lot more movement happened on the tabletop, as well as a bang coming from the door. In the last clip, Thomas was not able to realize what was going on, so everything was fine. But in this one he did, and he was traumatized to say the least. For the following nights he struggled to get any rest, and was permitted to stay absent from his school by his mother. Due to a lack of updates, we do not know if the boy eventually got over the incident, but all we can do is hope. Now most of the clips that I showcase on this channel are fairly complex and need some analyzing to truly understand what went on. The upcoming video, however, is nothing like that and features some of the most basic paranormal activity out there, but this came in a humongous quantity. So much haunted stuff happened within such a short time period that even I struggled to keep up with things, and I bet you will too. Take a look. All sorts of items started moving in the same room, but there was one specific incident which I wanted to zoom in on for you guys, and I am going to do it. Roughly 23 seconds into the clip, a dark item could be seen gliding across the camera, and I would like to take the obvious assumption that it was the figure of a ghost. Feel free to make your own mind up on what it was in the comments though. Now that was spooky enough for the owners of that house, but what if I told you that on the exact same day they captured something else that was arguably just as terrifying? After witnessing the catastrophe in the other room, they took it upon themselves to check every single camera in the building to try and figure out what caused the incident, but all that they found were more incidents. In this room, a clock started going crazy, and surprisingly, this turned out to be quite a promising lead as to who this spirit belonged to. The owner of the house's father had passed away a couple of years back, and he was a clockmaker. What made this so important was that the clock on the door was actually created by him, so it made sense why he would fiddle with it. Schools are usually full to the brim with life, and we do not usually see them in any other way. It is extraordinarily different to picture a school with barely anybody inside of it, but the employee in the next video was working late, and he lived through that experience firsthand. He explained that it was not creepy to him because he was used to it and worked late every other week. However, for the first time ever, he became terrified, and this moment was captured on video.
Alright,
I'm just finishing up, putting up decorations for the students when they get back. I was on the smart board, setting things up. I'm taking a step back, and you guys know me. I stay late often. It's just me here and the janitor, and let me show you. Do you see? Do you see? I mean, is that not a kid sitting right there? Just me.
Weirdly, there was an odd figure that seemed to be sitting at one of the desks in the same room as the employee. The kid who usually sat in that desk was called Oliver, and he was super brain-rotted. He spent all day shouting words like skibbity and riz, so the employee claimed that having a spirit taking his place was not such a bad thing after all. He did retract this statement when he realized the story behind it, though. A girl who attended the school actually passed away in hospital a few hours before the clip occurred, so from the looks of it, the jigsaw pieces came together for the employee. What he saw was the girl exploring the building for one last time, and this fact made things much worse for him. Angel was a family-orientated woman who had a strong belief in God. She was a devoted Christian, and as well as trusting the words of the Bible, she also thought that spirits and the afterlife were factual concepts, so she was not too shocked when she figured out that she was being haunted. That does not speak for her fright levels, though. It was 10 p.m. on a school night, and Angel had just finished getting the children to bed so that she could watch some television. It was at this moment that she received a Ring doorbell notification, and thank the Lord she did not decide to go and look at the scene herself, using the camera instead. What looked like a little girl in a dress could be seen in the door glass, and as if things were not creepy enough, it vanished out of thin air after a few seconds. Now, to Angel's dismay, after posting this video to the internet, she received a lot of uncalled-for backlash, as people thought that she had faked the sighting for clout. Unlike most people, though, she decided to be brave and respond to the controversy, defeating the haters for good.
Okay, so this is the area. The door that it was like standing inside. We don't have anything or keep anything in this area because it's a walkway and it would be really awkward. And then this is where the security camera is. So when I looked at the footage, I expected to see a person. I didn't expect to see that though.
After this debunking video, people finally believed her story, and the comments suddenly became favorable to Angel. Many people offered spiritual advice and explained that she could always come to them for help, which was very heartwarming. And we know that Angel is now in a safe place. In the outskirts of New Mexico, a plastic bag could be seen floating in the sky, and some of the residents decided to start filming it. This was because they believed the bag was suspicious due to it not flying in several directions and staying completely still, which are both highly unlikely scenarios when something with such a low weight takes flight. Eventually, though, they realized that what they were staring at was not a plastic bag at all. Out of nowhere, the bag disappeared into thin air, and everybody on scene was left very confused. Nobody can explain this event to this day, and the leading theory was that there was a very dark object that it went behind despite the people on site denying any other buildings being present. On October 17th this year, a security team was operating as per usual in the security room. They were all sitting down laughing with each other, knowing how easy the money they were making was. In their 7 years of being together at the establishment, they had only had to deal with a singular break-in, and it was an elderly man who could not escape them for his life. However, little did they know that this particular night was a much more serious one. The time reached 10:23 p.m. when all of their laughter came to a stop. If you look closely at the door on the right, a white silhouette could be seen until it suddenly vanished. Fortunately, the camera picked up this motion, and the guards were able to go and check it out with no success, of course. The following video took place in an old and abandoned secondary school, which was shut down by the government for a very disturbing reason. Before this reason came about, it was a prospering school with over 2,000 students attending every single day. It had no problems and was rated very highly across all education monitoring companies until one horrible day arrived. A member of staff, rumored to be one of the caretakers, found an unalive student in one of the bathrooms before the school day, and this caused a massive shockwave of events, including a huge investigation. This investigation lasted several months, and none of the students were able to attend their school for this period. One day, though, the problem was resolved and the school was shut down for good. Due to the property being of poor standard, no one was interested in purchasing the site, so it was kind of just left to rot. It was said to be haunted by the child who suffered their end within its premises, and the man who filmed the upcoming clip put that to the test by visiting the abandoned site. Take a look. As the man behind the camera expected, the theory of the building being haunted turned out to be factual, and after seeing the swings move by themselves, he dashed out of the premises. After the event, he posted the video to the local area's Facebook page, to which he received a bad reputation, as people believed he had faked it for some cheap attention. All I'm going to say is that it looked extremely real to me. Everybody in town knew that Dave was one of the hardest workers around. For the past 2 years, he had barely left his basement as he was working on an all-new business idea, and it was finally starting to pay off for him. He was beginning to earn money that he would have if he had followed the employee route, which was his goal after all. Anyway, this is besides the point. He was in his basement at 11 p.m. finishing up some mock-ups when all of a sudden he heard some noises as if something was in there with him, and instinctively he decided to go and check what caused it. For a few moments he did not find anything but thought it would be smart to try and verbally communicate rather than search. This is how that plan went.
There's definitely something here. Let me try something real quick. Is there anyone here? What the f? Did the teddy bear just fucking move? What the fuck was that? It's a fucking orb. It just got really fucking... What the f... Was that you that moved that teddy bear? Can you move it again?
Somehow, the spirit moved the teddy bear and also casted orbs around the room with a few moving towards Dave. Dave became very spooked because of this and retreated into the brighter side of the room before wrapping up his work. He did not want to experience anything like that ever again. Jake and Fay are a father and daughter combination who had not been having the best times of their lives recently. We have actually showcased some of their clips in recent videos on the channel, but in short, their house was haunted and some deeply unsettling things were occurring. The primary incident was that they could both hear footsteps walking around the house, despite them both being sat down together, which frightened Fay a lot. Little did they know that this was not going to be the only time they would encounter an event like this.
There we go. And again. Hello? I'm sorry. Is there anything you need? They're real loud today. Hello? Do you need help? What the What the Hello? Hello? Was that you that rolled the ball?
Can you play it again? Can you play it again? Can you play it a low key? Oh, See, this is where I draw the line, man, and y'all want me to be brave. Hello? Hello?
Just like last time, the sound of footsteps kicked off the clip, but this one became much creepier, much faster, from objects moving in Fay's room to literal whispers of help from the spirit. This was the tip of the iceberg for Jake, and he decided that he was going to sell the property once and for all. We have no clue how this ended up going, but what we do know is that the duo have not posted any paranormal clips since, leading me to believe that they are okay. On May the 27th of 2023, Russian ghost hunter Enzo decided that it would be a good idea to visit the house known as the scariest house in the world. The house gained this reputation due to several families suffering their fatalities in there, and it was rumored that their spirits made sure nobody else suffered the same fate as they did. They would supposedly aim to frighten visitors to ensure that they did not follow through with the house purchase. So it is nice to know that the spirits in the video you are about to see had a great purpose for their acts. Take a look. The glass fell from the tabletop in the most unnatural way possible, and it was clear that no strings were attached to it. What made this clip ever more odd was that the glass survived the fall and did not smash, which should have been almost impossible with such momentum. It was pretty obvious that this falling was caused by a spirit, and Enzo was pleased that he obtained some more evidence for his clients. This ghost hunting mission turned out to be a success for both parties, especially for his bank account though. Now, the following video was supposed to be a fairly innocent one, but did not turn out in that manner. It was recorded in young Raj's living room, and he was unboxing a cool antique that he purchased and believed would be cool enough for some content. He was far from wrong, and the audience really enjoyed this box opening, but not for the reasons that Raj expected them to. In fact, not even a crystal ball operator could have told him what was about to happen, which shows just how much of a surprise it truly was.
Okay. I'm gonna be frank, it's pretty spooky as it's in itself, but this note just kind of made it like 10 times spookier, so I don't know, maybe kind of decipher the note for me, or let me know what you guys think about the note. I mean, would you guys have this sort of thing inside your house? I definitely would. I think it's pretty cool. Heck, I'm gonna probably start collecting all these antiques now because of it. I think that's pretty cool. I guess I forgot to kind of mention a little backstory or what's going on. Like, the old man ended up dying. I'm not sure how, but I'll probably try to grab that information from Dylan. So at some point. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time for whatever video I'm making. Alright, see ya. Oh my god, I hate these things. Oh, damn. Oh, that one really hurt.
Throughout the recording, the door in the background continued to open and close completely, going under the radar of Raj. I must say that even I failed to notice what was going on until looking at the comments, which is a rare occurrence for me. Regardless of whether Raj picked up on this event or not though, it would not take long for him to open his YouTube studio and discover the situation he found himself in. Little did he know that this was the first event of many. For the following weeks, Raj continued to experience hauntings in his room, and every single one happened behind that same door. The main issue was that it would open and close without any human interaction, which he failed to make any sense of. But when he discussed this with his roommates, they called him a liar. This sparked his idea to prove them wrong. One evening, he decided that he was going to sit down and continue to record the door until something happened, so that he could prove to them that it was happening. As well as this, he vowed to get up and search the room behind the door immediately to prove that the event was not fake. Have a watch.
I barely had a lot of sleep. A lot of shit's been going on, all the scratching, all the fucking everything. So I'm recording right now just to hopefully catch something, and if I do, I just want to prove to you guys that I'm actually alone. My roommates are all upstairs, so as soon as something's happening, like I'm just watching the friggin' door, as soon as something's happening, I'm booking it right inside there. I'm gonna film all the space, all like everything. I'm gonna close the door right behind me, and I'm gonna make sure that I want to show you guys that I'm actually alone in this. Oh shit! Yo, the light's like turning on and off, bro. The doorknob. Yo, fuck! I gotta show you guys I'm actually alone. Look at this bullshit. Look at this bullshit. Look. Turning on the light as soon as I walk in. Okay. Closing the door. Yo. Yo, I'm telling you, anytime I walk in, there's like literally nobody. Nobody. This has been going on for like a couple days now, dude. Look, watch. I'll turn on the light. Okay? Nobody. Behind the door, nobody. Okay? Going through this freaking door, which is really scary in here. Nobody. Guys, tell me what the fuck is going on, because I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm actually terrified right now.
Unlike the usual situations, the door was not opening alone and was rather rattling the door handle and flickering the lights. As promised, Raj stood up as quickly as he possibly could and searched not just one room, but every room on that side of the apartment to cancel all rumors that he faked his last clip. But he was not done, because he had no idea that him and this spirit would have one last dance. Roughly 2 days after that last incident, Raj was back in college, and he had a fantastic day. He only had to attend one lecture due to his other lecturer being sick, so he got home very early. But after arriving, I bet he wished he didn't beat his roommate there.
Oh, I just got home from work. Yeah, this is what I came home to. I'm literally only going to assume that my roommates is trying to pull a prank on me. I'm gonna quickly close this, push all this, close this door behind me, just in case anything happens. What the fuck, dude? Are you serious? They're trying to pull a prank. This is one hell of a prank. Oh shit. Oh hell nah. Hell to the no. What the fuck, dude? Everything. Oh my god. I'm out of here. Yep, I am done. With this shit.
At first, he called rubbish and assumed that his roommate had done a silly prank on him. Not only was his roommate not the type of guy to do this, but it would have been extremely cruel due to what they had been through together. So even at this point, Raj wasn't really convinced. Regardless of how sure he was of this though, all hopes were erased when the taps started turning themselves on around the property. This triggered the moment that Raj and his roommate Stanley requested a college dorm and were granted permission to move in. In the most recent video on this channel, we looked into the house of Jackson, who was a huge believer in religion and the spiritual world, also taking evil entities into consideration. In that video, he heard knocking sounds from his basement and, being a believer, instantly thought of spirits and demons. However, his audience were not so easily convinced. He received a ton of hate on that video, with people referring to him as a liar and a fraud. But it was only a matter of time before he fought back with another sighting, this time with undeniable proof of its legitimacy.
Alright, you guys are in luck. You wanted it, right? There it is. Ain't me knocking on shit. Ain't nobody down here, right? You fucking hear it. Now, you guys are gonna say, oh, it's somebody in there, it's an animal. Nope. Let's go. So who's down here? Nobody. What the fuck? Nobody down here? Nobody downstairs? I don't want to hear none of that bullshit about, oh, it's somebody. Ain't fucking nobody. We hear that shit every single night.
Unlike the last time around, this time he decided to search the entire basement to provide undeniable evidence that nothing was on the other side, and it worked. His audience apologized for their ignorance and wished him luck in banishing the ghost, with this being the most recent information we have obtained. Make sure to subscribe so you can receive updates if I get them. Sometimes it's hard to find the real reason why spirits and demons do the things that they do. It doesn't make sense why they tend to just joke around and tease people like they do. Remember Donna from one of our previous videos? Yeah, she continued to be harassed by that strange spirit. It seemed as if it just wanted to mark that kitchen counter of hers as its territory. The countertop was, and still is, a hotspot for paranormal activity, even after she had tried finding ways to stop them. She had tried holy water, salt, and even crucifixes, but they all seemed to be of no effect to the spirit. After so much time trying, Donna started to think she was losing her mind, so she decided to take this clip one time when the paranormal activity was spiking. Take a look.
Hiya guys, I've just thought I'd show this video. People don't believe me, they think I'm going bloody crackers, but when I tell you there's a spirit in this property, there's a spirit in this flat. I'm not crazy. Real weird shit is happening. Now, I've left these trigger objects, they've been here for days and they keep moving. I know you don't believe me, but it's easier for you just to see yourself in it. I've just come into the room and they've moved again, so it's easier just to watch and see if anything happens now, because it's getting annoying. But I'm kind of getting used to it now, so if there's something here, can you move it again now? Please? Come on, camera's on you now. Did you die horribly? Do you have to haunt me? Can you knock it off the sap? Guys, while you're there, I'm just going to show you that there is nothing under here. That's just a bit of muck, but there is no magnets, there's nothing under there. That's just my crap. But there's nothing there. And yet it's in. Guys, come on. You must be seeing this. You must be seeing this. Am I crazy? Yeah, I look crazy, don't I? Guys, come on, man. Let me just get a bit of view. Do you see the 2p? It has moved from all the way there to there. How is that possible? Guys, man, come on. Guys, look. Look. I'm f***ing crazy. Crazy Donna. Am I crazy? Really? Guys, look. It's just a bloody 2p. It's just a 2p piece. Just a normal 2p piece. Look. How can it move? Come on, guys. How can it move? Guys, seriously. Are you seeing this shit? Guys, come on. How the f can I do that? This is, guys, come on. Are you seeing this shit? That's twice. That's twice now. Here we are again. And this is what I've been doing since last night. And it just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. Guys, watch. Seriously, mate. That's the 2p, yeah? There is no string, there's no magnets, there's nothing. Look, there's nothing. Nothing. Look. Nah, I'm just gonna have a look at this. Because I don't know, but I think I have picked up a little shadow there as well. I know you think I'm fucking bonkers, but I'm not, you know. This shit's happening, so, there's something, I don't know. You have to believe in spirits in order to be open to certain receptors. Now, I don't know if I'm fucking cracking up, if I'm crazy, but this shit's happening. But I've been recording at the other end as well, so I'm going to put the two footages together.
Donna filmed this paranormal activity so that she could confirm all of it was not in her head and was in fact reality, sharing it with her friends, and even tried reaching out to some experts on social media, all in a bid to fully understand what was going on and how to deal with it. A few people seemed not to believe her, but she didn't mind one bit. She just did everything she could to keep herself safe. Jake had always looked forward to living alone after college. The idea of having his own space and getting to do whatever he wanted sounded perfect. He had grown up with 3 brothers, which meant he had to share a bedroom with one of them for all his life. This meant that from kindergarten to high school, and even at college where he still had to share a dorm room, he always had to be in a room with someone. However, after college, he finally found his gateway to freedom. Jake was surfing the internet and found out he could buy a mobile home for about $5,000 and pay for it over time, which was a perfect plan for him. He immediately took out a few hundred from his savings and put it up for the first installment. Despite all this newfound freedom, though, he decided he was going to tour the countryside, his homeland, one last time, and make some great memories along the way. On one of his stops by the seaside, he decided to stop by a small forest close to the bay. It was quiet and a bit lonely, but it did the trick. Jake brought out his heater and decided to cook some ramen to keep his stomach pleased, while jamming out to some of his favorite childhood tunes. He hit record on his phone camera so he could remember this moment in the future. However, he did not expect what would happen next. The camper van started shaking vigorously as Jake tried moving towards the door. Somehow, it continued banging shut, even as he tried to catch it. Earlier that day, he had heard about some sort of woodland spirit that guarded the woods and would terrorize intruders until they were gone. At that moment, Jake knew exactly what he had to do. He couldn't make the heartwarming memories he wanted to make in these woods. He had to leave as soon as possible, or it would get worse. He packed up all his stuff and drove to the nearest gas station, where he asked the manager to let him spend the night in their parking lot. And that was how Jake escaped what could have been a tragic end to his life. Solomon had a drinking problem, and he knew it. His friends and a few neighbors knew he drank, but they had no idea how bad it truly was. What made things stranger was the fact that Solomon wouldn't strike a stranger as a drinker at first glance. This was because he only drank when he was alone, one of the key parts of being an alcoholic. One time things got so bad that he drank for 3 days straight when his first girlfriend left him, and during this period, the people close to him were becoming highly concerned, and as if things were not already bad enough, Solomon got sacked from the law firm he worked at. This was an extremely low moment, and marks the time that he shut his family off, drinking at will. Just as he was about to finish his first bottle, though, the unexplainable happened.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Actually, I'm all out of drink. I want to go get some more alcohol. Are you okay with that? I'm gonna do this the best way that I know how. Okay, I'm gonna flip the screen. Oh, shit. There we go. Boom. Okay. There's still a whole ass ring.
He couldn't believe his eyes, and it was as if someone had answered his not-so-smart question. After the monitor fell from the counter, Solomon decided to go to bed and get some well-deserved rest. He thought maybe, since he was off his head, that the event was just a figment of his imagination. However, he checked the video out the next morning and it checked out. Scary stuff, right? A small town on the edge of the Russian map, just close to the North Pacific Ocean, had been terrorized by a series of ghosts over and over again. It became so bad that the mayor tried numerous things to get rid of the spirits terrorizing the town. However, none of these methods were a success. From an exorcist, Ghostbusters, all the way to a priest, nothing seemed to work, and all hope seemed lost, until a few months later, when a man named Muko came around. He went straight to the mayor and told him that he had experience hunting down ghosts and had heard about the town's situation. The mayor agreed and asked him to make sure he doesn't scare the townspeople more than they already were, discouraging scaremongering, which was why he was such a respected man. Careless of the mayor's reputation, though, Muko went to work and spoke to the townspeople to find out where most of the ghost sightings were, and he was able to triangulate the appearances to an abandoned house at the edge of town. He knew that it must have been the homestead for the ghosts where they all came from, and he was correct. Muko geared up and went to the building to get started. He set up different cameras at strategic points in the building and put up a live stream that would connect back to his house. Everything was ready, and he went in, but this happened. Now, most people were left wondering why Muko's reaction was so calm. But if you are a regular on this channel, then you are sure that he is no stranger to the paranormal world, and this was light work. Annoyed at how subtle this sighting was, he continued his search and actually ended up finding something else. The ghost seemed like it was trying to frighten Muko into leaving, and surprisingly, it got its own way, but not for the reason of fear. Muko needed to leave, as it was almost breaking dawn, which meant that the paranormal activity would be reduced and his gear wouldn't work as well as it should. No ghosts meant no money, and no money meant no bills. He was out of there. Barbara was a single mother who had decided to come to France to start her life fresh. She had just about had enough of her tough life these past few years and could really do with a break. She lost her husband at the war front and she just couldn't take it, abandoning her kids and taking to a life of drugs, which was not a look anybody liked to see her in. Social services took her 2 boys and she ended up being sent to rehab, rightfully so. After 5 long years, Barbara finally made it out, but she had to fight the longest legal battle of her life to get her kids back. It took an entire year to resolve, but somehow, despite the low odds, it was a success in her favor and she was allowed to retain her offspring. Mark, the older son, was now 12, and her youngest boy, Andrew, was 7. As if by miracle, both of the boys remembered her, even though Andrew was only 12 when the whole drama unfolded. Everything seemed to be going in Barbara's favor, until Martina, the woman who had fostered and even allegedly abused the boys, came up to her forcefully and cursed her. She told Barbara that she would never have peace, and that she would hunt her down wherever she went to take the kids back. And this threat was seen as a joke by the authorities, Barbara too. She never really took it to heart and understood the woman's perspective. A few months later, she got a full-time job in France and had to move there with the children. It was then that she started to fear the words Martina had told her. Strangely, there was always a noise coming from one of the vents in the house at night, and Barbara couldn't help but hide from the fact that it may have been to do with Martina. One night, she decided to start recording the noise and all the weird stuff that was going on in the house. It was then that this clip arose.
À bientôt pour un nouveau concert.
One of Andrew's toys had turned on all by itself and started to make noise in the middle of the night when Barbara walked into the room and turned it off. She shrugged this off as some sort of silly malfunction, but a few hours later, it happened again.
À bientôt pour un nouveau concert.
Reluctantly, Barbara got up and tended to the toy again. However, the third time it happened, things were much creepier.
C'est quoi ça?
It was then that she realized the dark truth behind all of this. The toy had been bought by Martina for Andrew, and she knew exactly what to do next. The toy was placed into the trash and never seen again, along with all other items that Martina had purchased for the children over her time with them. It seemed crazy that a seemingly regular woman had the abilities to curse items, but better safe than sorry. Dustin grew up as a kid with his family in the Appalachian Mountains, as he loved the mountains and hiking. However, after some time, the magic of the beautiful grass-covered mountains started to fade. It was like there was something off about them. The grasses started to creep deeper into the forest. The flowers started blooming later than usual, and a lot of things just didn't look as pretty as they used to. People said it was because a girl had been murdered in the mountains and her killer had gone free. Dustin at first didn't believe all of that kind of stuff. He was older now, and felt like those kinds of tales were just to scare kids and all. However, he got a piece of some paranormal action when he decided to move out of his parents' house. He found a place much closer to the mountains he loved as a child, and far away from noisy people. One fateful night, his dog randomly bolted out of the house at night, and then this happened.
Cherokee, Dewey, come on.
It was after this experience that Dustin started to see things differently and started to believe in the paranormal. Perhaps that child was murdered and served injustice. Perhaps Dustin was the stupid one all along. The following video took place in Jackson's living room, and he was home alone due to his girlfriend Lainey being at work. Jackson decided to take this alone time to play on his gaming console, considering he usually didn't have the time to have some fun on it. However, his relaxed state would not last for long. He played his first few games and everything was fine. He even won both of them without conceding a goal. It was when he was choosing the jerseys for the next game, though, that things took a turn for the worst.
I'm proper freaking out a little bit here, right? Lainey's at work, I'm home alone, and Lainey's glasses on the counter there have just moved across the counter, and what? Nah.
According to Jackson, with no video evidence, Lainey's glasses traveled across the counter by themselves. Worried that it would happen again, he decided to pull out his camera with hopes he would capture proof. And fortunately, the plant pot did the same thing, this time whilst being filmed. Jackson sent the footage to Lainey, and she was in utter disbelief, but needed to finish her shift. No updates were given beyond this point, and we are left full of questions to this day. On September 21st of 2024, Franco, a young Spanish man, was asleep when he started to hear some strange and unexplainable noises coming from downstairs. Jumping to immediate conclusions, Franco believed that this was a burglar, and ready to put up a fight, he tiptoed down the stairs. Shockingly, after searching the entire first floor, no sign of any human was found, and Franco went back up to his room. It was at this point that he heard even more noise and went to investigate for a second time.
May daga yata dyan. Hindi ko makakaluskus. May nakapasok na daga ah. Uy. Biglang gumalaw. Biglang gumalaw yun. Shit.
Just like the first time, there was no burglar in sight, but what he found instead was no better. The chair started rocking on its own accord, and straight afterwards, some sort of speaker flew from the counter. Understandably, this struck a lot of fear into Franco, and he sprinted back to his room before coming up with ideas of what action to take next. He settled upon calling a ghost hunter, and they agreed on a price of $200. The hunter was very experienced, so it is likely that he got the job done. The usual reaction to a ghost encounter is flight mode. As you probably know, the body has 3 modes that it enters when under threat, with them being deemed fight, freeze, or flight mode. In the instance of a spiritual encounter, fight mode would involve trying to combat the ghost, freeze would be standing still in pure shock, and flight would be running away as quickly as possible. The rarest of the 3 is freeze, so the following spirit must have been pretty frightening to have caused it.
Okay, I just heard a really loud noise from the kitchen.
it looks like it's only that. I can't believe that little thing. Oh, yeah, that is loud. I thought the cooker had fallen over. Guys, I haven't even got a camera set up over here. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, well, I'm not going out the garden just yet. Scared the crap out of me. I almost jumped again when the boiler came on. Okay. Back up. That was me, by the way, that was me. I'm gonna back up into the corner. Screw it, I'm going to Right. I don't know what to do. Hang on. Duck under here. Do something else, man. Let me get under the table.
All sorts of items in the kitchen started to act up and mellow. The YouTube creator who uploaded this video was so frightened that he ended up backed into the wall. Towards the end, he even went as far as taking cover underneath the table, which showcased that he had a genuine belief that he could have been struck with an object that day. The time was approximately 11 p.m. at night, and a father and a son were both in bed. It didn't take long for the son to fall asleep, because he was only a baby, and it was getting quite late. However, the father was struggling heavily, and pinned it down to some sort of eerie feeling surrounding him, although he didn't say that because it would have been rather embarrassing. After staring at the ceiling for quite some time, the father felt some sort of tug on the bed, and the baby started to cry after being woken up. This is when he decided to pull out his phone in order to capture what was about to go down.
Ahorita ya estábamos dormidos y mi bebé empezó a llorar de la nada y se empezaron a escuchar cosas como llantos. ¿Escuchan eso? Es que no me creían que se estaban escuchando cosas en mi casa. Vente, mi amor. Vean, el control está aquí. Yo estaba volteando para cargar a mi bebé porque se estaban escuchando muchas cosas. Vean, escuchen. Vente, mi amor. Vente, bebé. ¿Soy yo? ¿Soy yo, se movió eso? ¿Se alcanzan a escuchar también?
All at once, the television activated, the keys moved by themselves, and the door came off his latch. And the chances of all three of these things happening simultaneously was extremely low, meaning that it must have been a spirit that caused it. Unfortunately, this was going to be proved shortly though, and this was not the end. For about a minute, the father and son got some peace, and the father even explained that the cold feeling vanished for this period. However, moments later, the dark activities returned for a second time.
¿Se alcanzan a escuchar también? Son como pasos y sentí que se movió eso, pero no sé. Vean, o sea, yo estaba volteando para... Escucho algo allá. Escucho algo allá de aquel lado. Tápate casa solo se paga con este. Y yo estaba volteando eso. ¡Oh, cabrón!
This time around, noises could be heard from the bathroom, and when the father decided to investigate, not only did something fall from his bedside table, causing the dog to wake up too, the door was slammed in his face. This practically proved that what was happening was the cause of a ghost, and this time it was undeniable. He still had one more fright in him that night though, and it led to him leaving the house entirely.
¿Eso? ¿Qué fue lo que se escuchó? ¿Vieron eso? ¿Vieron eso? Solo lo vi yo. No, sí me tengo que llevar a mi bebé de aquí.
This time, a broomstick attempted to hit Jackson, and he decided that enough was enough. After this incident, he grabbed his baby and stormed out of the house to the car, driving the two of them to his girlfriend's house, who agreed to give them a place to stay for a week. Unfortunately, despite relocating, this did not stop the hauntings, and actually bestowed them upon his girlfriend's house too. All sorts of banging noises could be heard echoing around the house, so his girlfriend decided to come and sleep in the same bed as him. It was at this point that he filmed the last known sighting of this spirit.
Escuchen. Es que otra vez están escuchando demasiadas cosas. Son como risas. Y mi bebé ya está aquí dormido. Ya por favor, por fin puede estar su mamá aquí con nosotros. Estaba ella en el hospital, pero ya pudo estar aquí con nosotros. Y agradezco demasiado porque ya me puede ayudar a cuidarlo. Y yo salir a ver qué es lo que... ¡Ay! ¿Vieron eso? Es que les digo que siguen pasando demasiadas cosas. Vean, pareciera ser como que aventaron eso. La puerta parece como que se está abriendo, Vean, de este lado no hay nada. ¿Qué es lo que quieres? Hoy decidí tener esto a la mano. Es el Spirit Box, porque realmente créanme que ya estamos cansados de que nos...
He managed to capture the movement of a balloon, as well as the noises from downstairs, which was enough to convince the local church that this was a family in need. The priest agreed to bless all three of them before sending them back on their paths. Jackson and his girlfriend decided the best way to move forward was to never mention this again. During a seemingly normal night where Juliet was babysitting her brother whilst their parents were abroad, the duo got up to all sorts of things, from playing with toys to watching the baby's favorite TV show together. It was very apparent how good of a sister Juliet truly was. However, one thing happened that night that was completely out of her control, and it exposed the poor baby to some very frightening events. Fortunately, with the baby being of young age, it was unable to understand the seriousness of what was actually going on, so continued to play with his toys as if nothing was going on. However, when Juliet entered the room full of noises, she saw some unexplainable things happen, from moving toys to some sort of ghostly shadow, which could not have been casted by anything else. She made sure to stay near the baby at all costs in such a dangerous environment. Hurricane Helene was a devastating tropical hurricane that caused widespread damage in the southeast of the USA during September of 2024. It was the strongest recorded hurricane to ever strike the Big Bend region of Florida and the deadliest to occur in the United States since Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Anyway, moving away from the facts and back to the story, the video that you are about to see was recorded amidst the aftermath of such a deadly hurricane, which explains the absolute mess that the streets appear in. The woman filming was simply on her way to work and wanted to record the hurricane aftermath because it would more than likely get views. However, little did she know that she would capture more than just a dump.
It smells really bad through here. Rotting. Really bad. Oh shit. Is this for real? Oh, it smells so bad. Yeah, I'm gonna go up here. Oh, you guys, I had to walk away. It's really stinky.
After strolling through the hurricane site and realizing what a horrible state it was in, the woman was somehow lured into approaching a small pile of dirt. When next to this dirt, the phrases, and here could be heard by some sort of male voice. And after some analyzing, I believe that this must have been the voice of a hurricane victim. And after all, it is the most logical answer considering the circumstances. Pets are something that many people can relate to, and they are meant to bring happiness and comfort to a family. From dogs to cats all the way to birds, the animals kept as pets have a wide variation. But the one in the following video was a cat. Paul and McKinley had recently spent a few $100s on food and toys for their brand new rescued cat, who they took pride in wanting to take care of. However, for some odd reason, the cat disliked all of its toys, and so Paul thought he would try to entertain it with something as simple as a ribbon. What was the worst that could happen? A simple rejection of the toy? No, something much worse.
Oh, love him, Ben.
Look at him, man. But give him his toys that we spent 30 quid on at the start. He won't play with them like this. He's not interested. Give him a ribbon that we found bloody lying about. He loves it.
Was that a ball?
I think it was.
Somehow, a ball behind Paul rolled away from the duo playing together, and this forced Paul to come to a complete halt. Fortunately, he managed to catch the phenomenon on camera, or nobody would have believed him, so he showed his relatives and posted it to social media for all to see. To his dismay, they still deemed him stupid and explained that he probably generated a whoosh of air to push the ball when swinging the ribbon around. I am pretty sure a ribbon cannot generate enough wind to move an object, though. Who posts consistently to try and obtain his dream of being a full-time content creator. His main subject on the TikTok is horror-related videos, giving his audience information on spooky things that occur across the world. However, little did any of his fan base know that one of his videos was going to be a first-hand experience of the male behind the account. Here it is.
I'm making a video right now because I just heard something fucking loud as fuck in the bathroom. Sounded like something fell. Oh shit. That was up there. What the fuck? Dick. Oh shit!
After kicking back and watching some television, he heard an item drop in the bathroom, but had a suspicious feeling about it, so decided to investigate with his camera rather than without. Thank the Lord that he had this feeling though, because it was correct, and a shampoo bottle dropped in front of his very eyes. Considering he knew a lot about spooky and some paranormal information, you would have expected him to at least identify the cause of the event. Unfortunately though, this was not the case, and no one knows what caused it to this day. On October 26th of 2024, Franco Claret was in his living room enjoying his day off work when one of the weirdest 30 seconds of life came out of nowhere. The time was roughly 2 a.m. in the morning, but being hooked to the show he was watching, Franco could not help but continue binging it, and he actually had no idea of the time until after the incident happened. He explained after the clip went mainstream that he would never stay up so late with his own company again, and he still sits in fear when in that room to this very day. If you think he was exaggerating, then pay close attention to the upcoming footage, because it was pretty horrifying to say the least. From the curtains drifting and the door opening all the way to the object. Falling at the end, it was very apparent that something unordinary was happening. Franco called his girlfriend after the incident and she didn't believe him one bit. He somehow got sleep that night and never encountered anything similar again. Family gatherings are supposed to be a time for communication and love, but the one in the video that I am about to show you turned out to be far from that, at least towards the end. For the first 2 hours or so, nothing went wrong whatsoever, and everybody was having a fabulous time after not seeing each other in so long. Little did anyone know that there was an unexpected guest in the room with them.
Ya estamos aquí en la merienda. Tamalito con chocolate, queso, pan y mantecadita. Buen provecho para todos. Marta siente... usted le va a tomar la foto a los...
At the bottom of the screen, a child seemingly sprinted across the camera at a pace which would have been very hard for a young person to achieve. Furthermore, considering there was a table in the room, and the woman filming was also in the way, it was highly unlikely that this was a real person running across the frame, leading to just one final conclusion. There was a spirit. The following video involved a security officer and a care home, and things got extremely spooky towards the end, so make sure to stick around. The time was 11 p.m. and the old folk had all just been put to bed by their carers. It was at this time that they sent out the security team to make sure everything was running smoothly, because it would not be fair to release them with the elderly still in the home, as the operation frightened most of them, despite it just being a simple checkup. At least it was usually a simple checkup, because this one was far from that. Take a look.
I am tripping balls. I'm trying to see if I can get it to do it again. God.
It was actually quite hard to hear this, but towards the end of the clip, some sort of person whispered here into the camera, and it was obviously a different voice than the man who was filming. A leading theory for the incident was that one of the old folks who must have passed away in the home decided that they were going to overdo their stay as a resident and have some fun with the security who terrified them for years.